Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Ameso, and I'm happy to have all of you here. Thank you for taking off your time to come and attend this very important session. And we appreciate that intentionality from your end, and happy to have you here. This is the International Center for Evaluation and Development, and the ARN network, that is the All-in Research Network, is a network of African researchers. And here we aim to ensure that we build the capacity or strengthen the capacity of African researchers to be able to conduct research, to be actively participating in research right from the beginning to the end. That is conceptualization, data collection, analysis, report writing, sharing of findings. And also, this platform is meant to ensure that you can network amongst yourself and provide short trainings on key thematic areas. Let us know some topics that you would like us to talk about, but we also offer you with an opportunity to share your findings among your peers in this platform so that you can receive constructive feedback to strengthen your papers or your reports. So thank you very much for making it this afternoon. Sorry, we've started late, and so we will try and catch up with time. With me, we have Bijou is my colleague. She'll be literally managing the whole process, and she's also the coordinator for the ARN network. You must have seen a couple of emails coming in from them. I want to quickly introduce our topic of the day and the speaker, then I let him take on going forward. So our speaker of the day is called Eugene Miheso-Swineston, and he is an M&E and ICT consultant. He is from the Pearl of Africa, which is Uganda, in case you're wondering. And he's going to take us through a topic which is calling from coding fatigue to smart insights, the AI revolution in qualitative research. We all agree that AI is the buzzword, but also AI has come in to really help us to be more efficient and effective. AI, of course, is artificial intelligence. So a little bit about Eugene. He serves as a director of programs at Trend Systems East Africa Limited. He's also a part-time lecturer at Ernest Cook University, Itad and Makerere University. He applies his expertise in qualitative analysis, monitoring evaluation, and information systems to impactful projects and mentor future professionals. We are privileged to have him speak to us this afternoon. He is currently pursuing his Ph.D. in management at one of the universities, Mbarara University, but he's a graduate with an MBA and has an M.Sc in information systems. So we have an expert amidst us, and let's take advantage as much as possible to learn from him. This will be one of the series that is going to take us through. So over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time that you've taken to, organize this whole session, and I don't take it for granted. I'm sorry to all the participants. There might be some small feedback. I was somewhere, but I decided to get myself a small cubicle, but the cubicle is too high, so the echo is coming through. I'm sorry for that. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all. Just like my colleague Sarah has mentioned, I would like us to talk about the pain, which is the coding fatigue, to smart insights, which is the solution that I'm trying to present today in this case. And to bring this in context, I mean, it's not about replacement, but it's about transformation. AI is not here to replace us, but I think it's high time, by virtue that we've reached a point where journals are accepting that AI can be used so long as it is referenced, it is indicated for what purpose. I think that is already a positive set and attitude that is actually promoting the use of AI. we've seen universities accepting the use of AI, so long as still you are able to reference what exactly the AI was used for. The same thing I would like to also apply in this context. I would like us to be able to learn how, AI can fundamentally change how mostly the qualitative researchers can work, and even allow the mostly leaned quantitative researchers can still, in one or the other, find a way to still work with qualitative data. So if you look at my presentation, you see there's coding, there's AI processing, and smart insights. And that is basically what I'm thinking, or when I was thinking to write this presentation, that's what I was thinking. Because I am a product of manual coding and then traditional computerized coding. And right now, I'm comfortable in my zone. So I would like my colleague Bijou to just showcase something quickly before we jump into the first slide. So I would like you to respond to this Mentimeter. You can scan using your phone, or if it does not accept, you can just type mentimeter.com, and then you're able to go and insert this QR code, this code. So mentimeter.com, and then enter this code 16295172, and we should be able to start seeing some feedback coming through.
Yeah, and I've also dropped the website and the code into the chat if you need to copy it and access it.
Okay.
So while we are doing that, I am gonna go ahead and let's go on.
No, it would be important that we still display as the answers are trickling in. They should be able to see what is actually happening.
Yes, people are starting to respond.
Yeah. Yes.
And Eugene, I hope you're also able to see it on your end.
Not yet.
Okay.
I thought you're gonna show us the window so that they can also see what we are doing.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, perfect. So are you currently
So keep responding, everyone.
Manually? Ooh, okay, interesting. So we still have people who are manually coding, about 10 of them. I know others are still responding. So, okay, so these are 5, these are 10. Okay, so probably I'll ask this question later on, who is a manual coder and who is, later on, not now. Maybe we can continue because this now lays ground to my next slide. So my next slide is showing us the researcher's burden. So my next slide is showing us the researcher's burden, and basically what we all go through. These traditional challenges, all of us have gone through this if you've actually gone through this research process. First of all, coding fatigue comes when you spend hundreds of hours manually analyzing transcripts. And this can extend beyond a week, can go even for some months. I worked on a coding process using Atlas TI for University of Texas, Austin. And I was given approximately, if I look at my projects here, the QR project was taking me about 51 documents. These are transcripts. And it took us, 3 months to actually do this. Somebody will ask, oh, why did it take so long? But we had to actually do the job, and it had to take us this long. And I can put it like this. If you do more than 2 transcripts per day and you have a 17-page interview, then I think there's something wrong. Because if you do the 3rd transcript on that day, you're going to definitely do mistakes. You're going to have some places not coded well, and so on and so forth. So And probably to put it in context of a study, most of the times a PhD or a PhD study can take you, give or take, maybe 40, maybe 60, maybe 80 transcripts. And that calls for thousands of hours of manual work you're coding. So this process alone is gonna really put you in a place of testing. We also have analytical bottlenecks. You know, we have to finish the coding process, but we need to again enter this next stage where you actually need to now make sense out of this. Remember, qualitative data analysis is where we do the funneling process. You start with the codes. From codes, you come to categorization. From categorization, you come to themes. And lastly, if you're doing grounded theory, you go to the next step of theorizing. But that funneling process, it sounds easy, but it's a very huge task, especially when it comes to now making the first and second stage codes inside the categorization phase. Now, that time lag between data collection and insights, we are going to lose some momentum, and sometimes this actually has some funding implications if not well taken care of. So other aspects include, you know, it is time intensive, there's cognitive load, there's limited scale, resource draining, consistency issues, and so on and so forth, where we say the coder has drifted because you lose context and you now start now because you are in a place where you are taken out of context because you are working beyond the stated aspects. So the subjectivity in code application becomes more, and then it becomes difficult for one to maintain standardization across large teams. For instance, if you're doing an intercoder on Atlas TI, you're going to get that if we're using a specific code to work on a certain subject matter, for instance, if I'm working on a project to do with, let's say, market resilience, and we have identified the kind of coding that needs to go with a question around, probably a question can be around the state of affairs or the state of affairs of the respondent before they took on the intervention. Now, we might get that we have actually put a code word for that, but as time goes by, because we are intercoding, we are going to get that there are now changes that are happening within the same document of coding, and that will affect the whole processing and transferring that knowledge into the analysis stage. So to do this, we need to now come in with AI technologies that will help us do the transformation. And this just takes us to the next slide. So we have options that have been availed to us. And I'm going to be performing some examples. I'll showcase an example from not an actual manual coding, but a traditional tool coding, what I call Atlas TI and Vivo, Delve, and so on and so forth. But of course, there are components inside it, which I will also address later on. But I'll also show you how you can actually use the available AI tools currently that actually comes to this. So before we deep dive into this, I would like Bijou to just help us project another question or two questions that we shall respond to. Please respond to this question. You're supposed to finish, then the code starts again. Good, good, all right. Oh, nice, okay. Let's go, people. Okay. So this is what people are hearing about, okay? Black box, Cloud, Gemini. Okay. Hey, Liz, nice. Somebody knows about the qualitative tool, huh? Okay. Gemini, Black box. DeepSeek, Notebook, LLM, Google, Copilot, Perplexity, but I think most people are familiar with the three. DeepSeek, ChatGPT, Gemini. Okay, interesting so far. Interesting. Okay, we have 24 people who have access to this and they're responding, and I think it's a good show. Possible for the next one. This is about them hearing. Is it possible? And Bijou, it will be okay if we actually get some of these screenshots to just showcase later.
Sure,
So
sure.
this is what they're hearing of, but yeah, we still have those three that are dominating: Gemini, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek. Okay, about hearing. Let's see now the use. So, of those tools that you've had, which one have you used? Please go ahead. Sorry, I know some of you have used more than one tool, but we shall give you an option to only answer once. So please probably mention your favorite one. Okay, ChatGPT, okay. Gemini, DeepSeek, Perplexity, Elise, DeepSeek, okay. There are options where you can put more than one, okay. Cloud AI, Copilot, DeepSeek, ChatGPT. So there's already usage, and this is a good foundation. Probably my question to you is, how do you use it? Which we shall again explore inside this presentation as we move along. May I please have the presentation back, please? Thank you very much all for participating. Now, we have options of how this AI comes into play. We have the large language models, which most of us call LLMs. We have the machine learning capabilities that gives you the ability to recognize or identify patterns in the data. And then we have the NLPs that is able to now understand the meaning behind. You know, we want to know, is it a positive sentiment or negative sentiment? So this is able to be recognized right now inside text. And these are the capabilities that are being given to us courtesy of AI. Automated text coding, if you're using any of the tools that have been mentioned, sentiment analysis, we're able to do so because it's able to behind the code running that's able to recognize a negative sentiment or a positive sentiment, how it is said. There is that theme identification across this document. What is this thing that is coming out a lot? So that is also expressed right here. And then we're able to look at a whole text and summarize it in one. So these abilities are giving us a leeway in actually how we can actually understand and do the work that we need to do. So the capabilities that NLP is giving to us is just humongous. Now, some of the tools that we have, these tools are not necessarily competitors to human judgment. Yes. And each one of these components has specific strength that can actually bring or add value to the process that you already know as a researcher, both in NMB field or in academia. So this is not competition. I mentioned this earlier on. It is basically transformation and not necessarily a replacement. We're not replaced. AI is not here to replace anyone. I was in a conference in South Africa, and a professor said, whoever is not going to use AI, not that AI is going to replace humans. Humans are the ones that are going to allow AI to replace them. Why? Because we have refused to actually adopt, use, and find a way to allow it to support processes. There are things that AI can still not do. They can't, but we still have the ability to decide on what can be done. So that bit of judgment still comes back to you and me. What can we do that is necessary to allow AI to support this process? And as you can see, there's a percentage of how we get value from this. In traditional coding, you take months to do this. In AI-enabled environment, you're able to get insights in seconds, even in minutes, and you have insights, and you can even start now doing your pre-theme generation, if that is allowed, so that you can actually be able to go ahead. But we shall see the ethical bits that allows us to do some of these things, because you need to be able to be allowed to do so by the client, not necessarily you going ahead and exposing that data without their knowledge. So there are those things that we shall address inside the ethical bounds. Next slide, please. So what are these real world impacts or scale and efficiency of the things that we see that comes from the AI aspects? Now, from a study that has been performed, 1,000+ participant studies, AI-enabled studies with over 1,000 participants compared to traditional 20 to 50 participants. And I think this is tremendous. And these are basically KIIs that you're performing, or deep in-depth interviews that you're performing. And if you can even just put it in context, how many interviews will you analyze? Okay, if you're to analyze 1,000 interviews using manual coding, how long will that take you? Even if you're a team of 10, how long will that take us? Each one with 100 transcripts. That's going to be a very good while. So this is already a showcase, a real world impact. UN, and of recent, I saw a publication courtesy of AI Liz. Now, UN is actually opting to actually use AI Liz or AI Lies to actually do some in-person interviews where it is actually hard to actually reach in places like Syria before the current regime, in places like right now Gaza. People are able to still provide information in person using AI Lies, which is also a tool. Now, what does this mean? This is the what question that we're asking. What are these patterns across populations? So you are able to get or answer the what question, not only the why question. Yes. So we always did the saturation level point, which you say, oh, after you do an interview for ABCD, then the rest becomes so. After you analyze more than 20 transcripts and you're getting the same things, then it is so, saturation point. So I think AI is able to go beyond that, because the way it will look at the text and things that you'll actually have missed, it can actually be able to capture courtesy of the tools we have. Now, basically research and evaluation studies can truly now be improved courtesy of these methods. A lot of interviews have also been done, and there's a case that was provided for where AI actually makes it feasible to conduct thousands of qualitative interviews. I've given a case of AI List, and this therefore will expand the research scope. Now, just think of it imaginary. We have a national program with over 50 schools, 70 schools, 100 schools. Now, and you need to conduct an interview in a month. How is that feasible? In natural terms, it's not feasible. It's not going to be feasible. Of course, somebody is going to say, oh, I have to have a team of almost 100 people and things, but that is resource intensive. And you don't have that resource. Even a district or province, for that matter, for those who come from provinces, might not be able to support that process. But I'm able to deploy something simultaneously to these 50 schools, 100 schools, and I'm able to get some answers as the answers start trickling in. And that one will definitely, go ahead and give you some data. But in real sense, if you're going to do manual, you're going to say, okay, I have 50 schools. I will choose maybe 6 or 10 of these schools for me to do the interview. But right now, you've been provided with that capability as a researcher. Now, 70% to 80% of time is actually saved through these processes. There is also real-time analysis that is provided. Abilities. Right now in Africa, we have Sunbird AI, and is promoting their tool that is now able to recognize about, I think, 30 of African languages. And that's already a good step forward. Now, in terms of evaluation, people who are doing culturally sensitive evaluations, they're able to now access these modules that they can actually look at. Now, when you're looking at text analysis, you're given a platform where you can actually do also that same process, because those languages are now recognized and they're also being input, and work is still continuing. In Africa-specific applications, in agricultural research, I was part of the AI lab where we have seen necrosis in cassava disease actually being studied, and how big the necrosis is or how small it is. All those things are being determined by AI. Yes, that's computer vision. And that gives people capabilities. Yeah. Now, farmers are able to get insights across whichever place or country they're in to make certain decisions about their crop. So, moving away from that, there also have other health interventions. We have, apart from infrastructure innovations, all those come to compound and support. These are AI applications that are supporting processes. The best example I can give for health is the scaling up of analysis of community health worker feedback to improve interventions. Now, in real-time application, you need to train a health worker in 500 villages, analyze their experiences simultaneously. Now, you're going to have an issue. But because of this, AI gives you that opportunity to be able to work with very many people at the same time and give you extra strength. And so saying, I would like us to go to where we can now see what are these differences between traditional and AI-enhanced research comparison. Next slide, please. So I have approximately 4 dimensions here, the ones that I will think of quickly for this particular presentation. And I'm comparing the traditional and AI-enhanced research perspectives. In terms of sample size, we know in some basic styles, you are going to deal with 20 to 50 qualitative interviews. And right now, you can go beyond that because of the capability that AI gives to us. Time required for collection, analysis is between 3 to 6 months. And here in AI, it gives you opportunity to do days to weeks. Cost, like I said before, and I already hinted on this, definitely the traditional method is cost intensive because you need to be able to, take time coding, take time analyzing. But the other side, the cost is a bit moderate. You still need to pay for the software. You still need to, engage somebody to also, or you yourself to continue with the process. In terms of depth and breadth, traditional gives you rich, very rich, because you're going to take time to read through each and every line. But you'll not cover a lot of material. We reach saturation levels quickly as humans, and that is well known, and therefore you might be limited. On the other hand, the AI still gives you rich information and also looks at several, even broader insights that will actually now expand our human thinking horizons. Something is actually there, but you will not see it as human. But AI is able to traverse through 1,000 transcripts, 500 transcripts, and still give you meaning. Now, it's never been about trading depth for breadth, but you need to get both of them. we're supposed to be able to balance between the breadth and also the depth. And also, speed is not about us trying to rush to get us done with the transcript and whatever. We need to be able to still do a very good job, a very good rigorous job on those transcripts. So we need to be in a position where all these things need to be balanced, both on the traditional side and on the AI side. But as we can see here, there's already advantages that we see that are actually coming out of using AI to support these processes. But we are going to see how some of these aspects, need to be actually modeled better in a session I'm going to have as we go along. But just put some context on this. Some demographic patterns. In terms of demographic patterns, AI is able to segment quickly. We might have an issue, but AI is able to segment quickly responses by participant characteristics automatically. But for us, we actually have to, take a while. So the process that, because remember in one transcript that is 17-pager, I need to first read this. Once I read this, I finish the 17th page. And that is at around, I started at around 8. And now I'm at around 2 o'clock. I'm now finishing my transcript. I am supposed to pick the next transcript and start working on it. I might even end up missing the aspect of segmentation because I've already gone through a whole document and it's been already messing me up. Of course, I have the mother codes that I've developed that are guiding me, but I might be in position to miss some things out. Therefore, if we adopt, by identifying the adoption of barriers, in some aspects for a given case, let's say the one for farmers, yeah. So I'm able to get the farmer age or education level easily carried out in that process. So those are some of the things that we see. Somebody will say, oh, Eugene, you're preaching very positive about AI. I'm going to shoot the AI, but soon. So slide 6, please. Let's look at what is the adequate process that we can use to be able to understand how we can actually move from step to step. You can see that from this diagram alone, AI can support you through this whole process, line by line. In terms of data collection, gathering of raw qualitative data, AI can support you in this process comfortably. Now, AI handles the breadth and also handles the speed of data processing, while human researchers will provide the critical depth and meaning making, the so-called sense making. We need to be in a place where when we're gathering these qualitative raw data, the interviews, the focus group, open-ended surveys, we need to be able to support the process. But now, does AI come into play in this scenario? Very rarely, but we have seen one case that's being proven right, courtesy of AI Liz, where UA is actually using their software. Now, this is mostly a human-driven job, data collection. But I also agree that using AI in this scenario is going to give us issues, because why do you have to collect data? And by practice, you're supposed to, first of all, have that ethical consent from the participant. We need to be able to do relationship building with the participant. We need to be able to relay the contextual understanding with the participant and of that particular case. Now, if that is actually not into play, then at the end of the day, somebody just answers for the sake of answering. So to me, I still think the data collection process is still important and still needs the humans to actually participate, to actually make it a very good process. In terms of preparation of the data, that is the transcription and organizing of data, AI can assist in this process. And we have seen this happening in many ways. I wish I'd created another question, but I know some of you right now, we had already even seen it in this meeting. A lot of you joined with note takers. So right now, Ota, Read AI, and others are busy trying to support that process where you can easily transcribe data, bring it to human form, and be able to work faster. So I agree that it saves you a lot of time. There's a research I did last year on farmers being part of a cooperative and things like that. And it was easier for us to actually transcribe that data using AI because we were visiting several people. We had also a short time of reporting. And when we employed AI, it came in handy to help us in the transcription process and made our life easier because it would have taken us more hours to just transcribe. It will need somebody a day or 3 days to just transcribe a 14-pager from that language to this language, which is an FGD. So some of these tools came in handy, and I think at this stage preparation, you just need to do, the human needs to still come in and do the quality check and verification. I think that's very important. In terms of analysis, which is our initial processing, I think this is where now AI is shining. We have several AI tasks that can be performed here. The initial coding of test segments, because traditionally we know you need to develop your mother codes from either the research questions or you've developed it from also from the tool for collection of the data. After developing those mother codes, now you're using them to actually work on the transcript in essence deductively. But inductively, you can actually now start creating and discovering codes as you go along. But AI now gives you the ability that it can actually scan through this data, just fast passing through, and is able to give you a lot of detail. And one of the tools that does this is AI Lace. It is very interesting to see the kinds of codes it's going to give to you. Now, the smart coding in VIVA, the smart coding in Atlas TI still does the same thing. And I'll also show you how that can be done in the next 10 minutes. We have pattern detection and theme suggestions, which are actually handy because remember the funneling system of qualitative data research, especially data analysis. You need to be able to code. You have 500 codes, and then you funnel it down to categories, funnel it down to themes, and finally to a certain, let's say, a certain theory. So this pattern recognition is given by the capabilities of either, mostly it can be by LLM and also the machine learning. Sentiment analysis, recognition of mood, attitude, the emotional discontent or content, all this can be identified using NLPs. Data summarization, automating the transcript, and so on and so forth. All these things can be done. Where you are able to automate transcription, that's what we call the multimodal approach, where audio or video is actually easily automatically transcribed. And we have seen that actually happening already in some of the tools. So the human review process is very important because it needs critical evaluation. Now, how does the human come in? Of course, we have seen AI coming in to support the analysis heavily, but now this is now where you're now concentrating on AI output and not necessarily the raw data. So you need to have those human-led tasks that you're going to perform, the research design and question formulation. You need to be able to now start doing the relationship, you as the researcher. But I know we have reached a point where we can even code smart and even prompt smart, that you can even go ahead and even query some of these things to AI. Code development and refinement can still be done, to find out, do we need this code? I think we've overused this code in this perspective. Is it possible we change it to this code? Now, as a human, I need to go through 10 transcripts, I might have a coda drift issue. But if I'm actually using AI, it will easily cut across those transcripts in less than 5 minutes, and I have my feedback on refinement. Things to do with contextual refinement, final validation processes, all those things will be need to be done by the human side, so that we're able to understand that perspective. Then last, the collaborative tasks within the human review between AI and the humans. We need to be able to refine. I'll show you how to do the AI generated codes. But once AI does the AI generated code, that should not be the final say, because AI will miss and code something that is not codable. But you are the human. You need to be able to come into play and correct and place it correctly. Sometimes to even code wrongly, you're supposed to come in and actually do that correction. So that's very important. Another collaborative task that you can actually bring into play is investigation of anomalies, like I've mentioned before. So are there some outliers from this data, especially on the theme part? When you have reached the theming part, there are things that the AI might lie to you, but you're in real sense, you're like, no, I think this is supposed to be in reference to this. So that should be some sort of a task that you do together. Identification of overarching things can also be done together with the AI. So basically, there needs to be that human AI-led synthesis and meaning-making, sense-making process that will enable us to be able to peruse them quickly. Let us now look at the ethical framework and quality assurance around some of these aspects. So we have 4 core principles around ethical aspects in AI-led qualitative research. And one of them is what we call data privacy. And I know most of us have experienced some of these things. So you need to learn to decode, yes, de-identify, yeah. You need to remove the names, but this after you've already addressed and you have actually had a chat with the client, or your research and ethics committee has allowed you to go ahead with that process. So you need to de-identify by removing the names, the locations, date that might identify individuals. Remember, this is when you're putting it through we've just finished another research as we speak, and all our interviews, interview 1, interview 2, interview 3. We would have chosen participant 1, participant 2, or respondent 1, respondent 2, whichever way still works. Now, that is one way of handling data privacy. Another way is to use local AI solutions. On my machine, I have LM Studio, because with LM Studio, some of these things of the identification, I don't need to go through that process because I am able to do it. The data is still mine. It doesn't go to the cloud, and everything is yours. So your self-hosting tools over cloud APIs, whether data sensitivity required, you need to be able to brush it, but it will not affect your operations if you're actually running it. The only disadvantage is you will need to have a very, very good machine, or per se, you can say very good structure. Yes. So data privacy is still a very important thing, and ethically, we need to be able to ensure that we protect the anonymity of our participants going forward. Bias and fairness. One of the biggest one in qualitative research, confirmation bias. Yes. So right now we have a lot of Western biases, yeah, in training of data. So if an LLM is trained predominantly in English or Western sources, that means it will lean towards that side. So you using that LLM, it might actually kill the essence of doing this. So your LLM might not understand your local cultural context, proverbs, even your cultural nuances. It might not pick them. So what happens is you need to be able to curate or continually treat this disease by inserting more data along that context that can allow it to now recognize, oh, this is what's actually said to mean, said in Swahili to mean this. This is actually said in Luganda to mean this. This is actually said in, I don't know that good, nice Ghanaian language to mean this. So those things need to be put into context. Then the biggest problem, AI hallucinations. It's a big issue, and that means the human needs to come in to verify some of these things. So let us not over-depend on this aspect. You need to always check human part in this process, always check. There's a newspaper that put out, I think, an article, and they did not pick out the last bit inside the AI they were using. So they basically copied and pasted the whole thing there, and the newspaper was out. I don't know how many of you have seen it. So we need to be able to play part in this process. This is an ethical issue. Then transparency. Researchers must document all tools, versions, prompts used to ensure accountability and allow for critical scrutiny of the analytical processes. This is applying to each one of us inside this call right now. Yes, AI has come in, we are using it, but we need to continue having the rigor that we use it for, but importantly, identify how we used it. So there are things that we can use AI for, there are things that we should not use AI for that makes it invalid for our research process. So the quality assurance part of it is mostly human, but we also need to learn to do the triangulation part and so on and so forth. Because of time, allow me to go to the next slide. And probably I will touch on these a little bit more. I wanted to be able to touch on both Atlas TI, and then we run an example on either ChatGPT and Perplexity, and we see how it comes out. Okay, so prompt engineering is one of the best ways to actually instruct. I was in another conference where they were saying we're no longer in the space where information is the currency. Instead, we're in a place where information gives the ability to do sense making. So information is not an issue right now because it is too much. It's everywhere. But the ability to make sense out of it is actually now what makes it better. Now, the sense making process allows us to ask the smart questions, good questions that will allow us to give the right answer. So the quality of AI analysis depends on clear instructions. I think you can visually and even quote me on that one. The quality of AI analysis depends on clear instructions. Effective prompts will leverage or will allow us the full potential of AI while ensuring reliable results. And I think that is very key because at the end of the day, we need to be very, very specific on what we need. Now, I've given an example here. Maybe participants can run it on their own. But if I've coded something, for instance, I've developed, let's say, a code on climate concern, your code book has got to be smart. That's number one. Yes. Climate concern as it is. I have something on adaptation strategy. I need to be able to call smart so that these codes will now be able to communicate at the end of the day. So there are those smart codes developed using AI, but you come in and humanize and make it better, understandable, so that by the next stage, maybe when you're performing your funneling process, you're in position to now get better output. So this process is very important, prompt engineering. Allow me to go to the next slide. what are the future aspects that we are now entering regarding this? Some of the emerging trends include the multimodal analysis, where AI systems will, analyze the text, images, audio, and views together. The ability of AI looking at me and sees my facial expressions during interviews. That's really interesting. I think it's crazy, but it's going to be also interesting where now you have all these things combined together. And the capturing, because in literal sense, when I'm training someone to go out to collect qualitative data, there's a way they need to use their parentheses to be able to ensure that when they notice a movement, an eye expression, together, song chorus on a yes or a no, all those things are quoted and are put into play inside the document. So where we reach where AI is able to do such things, it's going to be very interesting. ChatGPT, I think 4V, I think it's trying to do that, but I'm not so sure how they've gone. Another development for future is culturally adapted AI, where your language, your cultural norms and nuances are understood and things like that are also put into play. I think especially for African context and South Americas, it will be very interesting. Something on real-time analysis, where you just generate insight during data collection with instant analysis, especially on qualitative. Not quantitative. Quantitative, there's already ability. Google Forms has the ability. You can see as data is trickling in, there's some changes. But it would be nice to also have that on the qual side. I think would be very interesting. While we're doing interviews, there's some analysis ongoing. So that adaptive research design would be very, very interesting to see how the adjustment of questions is adapted and so on and so forth.
One of the first questions which came through, Eugene, was what in the meal process can't AI do?
Yes. I think we have addressed that aspect already in where you need to be able to know. So, for instance, I've already mentioned data collection should be an actual human aspect because you need to be in position to do the interfacing, seek consent, and all those things because you get in context, even just creating that rapport with the respondent. The kind of data you're going to receive, I think the data will be much more better or curated for the research as compared to sending an AI agent to be able to do that. Another thing, an AI agent will definitely need to take some time for people to actually understand and buy into the idea. But the other processes, just like I mentioned, data collection, preparation, analysis, human review, insights, the data collection process is going to be majorly human-centric. The preparation and analysis, the preparation can be two-way because you need to understand the themes developed by AI and also bring in the human perspective. But AI plays the biggest role in analysis. And I think this is where now most researchers, most evaluators waste a lot of time. I'm using waste in a good way, not in a bad way. Like we take too much time in that place. But AI is now in position to give you things you will take days doing just in a leap. So human review, that one is still ours because after the AI has done its analysis, you need to still come in with your human sense, understand these things, try to now make them make sense even better, and so on and so forth. Do we have any other question?
Yes, we do. The next one is, to what extent can I use AI in qualitative research? Where is the ethical line marked?
Okay, I think I addressed it, but I'll address it again. First of all, either your client has accepted. Two, either the rec for researchers has accepted. And nowadays, recs actually recognize the use of AI like we said, you need to be able to indicate how that AI has been used. That's very important. I used AI to review my sentence structures. I used AI to review my transcripts. And then how did you do the process of sense making after AI did it? It's important so that there's that transparency of how AI was used. I think that is the value add that we give to this process. And I think it will go a long mile to support the whole process in ensuring there's still rigor in research.
Okay, great. Yes, I know we are very short on time now. We've gone over our time, and I know you've provided some of the AI tools in your presentation, which we'll be sharing, but we have had one question from two people. Can you provide some of the AI tools that can be used to collect qualitative data and also used for analysis specifically?
Okay, so the only tool I know that can help you collect qualitative it is still something in testing. AI lies, it's still something in testing. So I am a trainer in AI lies, so I have access to some of the things that are being done. You might not have access to it, but there is some inroads that are being made to actually see that this tool can be able to support data collection in the field, like straight away. You have an interview, this data is coming in, and you don't have to have a special tool that you're going to put it in to allow it to perform certain functions. So I think that is what's going to happen in the near future, actually. Because you've said the data collection should be human-centric, but I think where we're headed to in certain industries, I think AI will come in to support, especially what we call the fragile areas where most people or evaluators might not be able to reach, or researchers might not be able to reach. AI can be deployed, and we can still get some feedback from that. So I think that's what I can say so far. But in case of analysis, there are very many, and I've given one example of prompting inside our tool. But the whole point is prompt engineering. Actually, it's the new school of thought inside AI and data science on asking the right questions, because it's from asking the right question that you're able to get the right responses. So I wanted to put something, but I don't know if it's my internet, but the window is not loading, it's not doing nothing. So I'm sorry.
That's fine. And I think we'll also share the names of the tools with everybody after the presentation. So yeah, and then the final question, if I want some special training on modern tools of data analysis, how can I get that?
Ooh. As we speak right now, I'm talking from Tanzania. And right now we are conducting a training as we speak to enhance the capacity of the local leads. So, and we're teaching two big modules, the qualitative module and the quantitative module, and of which, as we speak right now, they're doing the quant because I'm this side, but in the morning session, I was handling the quant side. So there are several tools, but let's keep contact, let's keep in touch. Once my slide is shared, contacts in the back side of that particular slide, and be able to read out and see how we can.
You have a couple of questions in the chat. I know we are 15 minutes over right now. Eugene, are you able to answer 2 more questions in 2 minutes? 1 question per minute? All right, so the first one, Jackson Olobo says, the traditionalists have fear that AI may constrain humans from conceptualizing things. In the long term, what would this look like? So let's go, 60 seconds. What can you give us?
First of all, I wrote that professor in South Africa. I'll just say, right now we're in a place where we cannot run away from AI. AI is here to stay. And the faster we embrace it, find better ways to use it, the better we shall be. Else, we're going to remain behind and we're going to be left behind. So I'll encourage everybody to climb on this bus, because right now we've just seen an example how many people use AI tools, how many people have heard of certain tools. And we have already seen people responding to those, which means this is a reality, it's not hidden. It's available to us to use, but we need to be able to come up with mechanisms that can enable or ensure there's transparency, there are ethical bits that are being looked into, and so that we don't hit our human sluggish.
Okay, and then the last question. Thank you so much for your time so far. If you have already collected in-depth data through interviews, can you use AI for analysis? And if so, how? I know you touched on that a little bit, but if you can do it in 60 seconds again, that would be great.
Okay, perfect. So I wanted to show you an example, but we can still talk about this. First things first. You can decide to use AI lease, use Perplexity, use Cloud AI, whichever you want to use. But you should be able to use the one that is actually paid for. Use the latest model of that particular tool, of that LLM. Now, in so doing, you accessing that latest model allows you to dig deeper into some of those things. Now, asking the right questions, prompting the right questions. For instance, when I have, let's say, 10 in-depth interviews regarding a market resilient system, what would be the best question for me to ask? I will not ask, please help me code these interviews. That's a bad question. But I need to go deeper and expound on exactly, probably, number one, I've already gone through the questions. I've already gone through the objectives in the concept paper. I already have the mother codes. I will now express myself probably like this. I have developed, so you need to be able to create a relationship with the AI, in quotes, create a relationship with AI and ask as if you're asking some sort of, somebody the other side knows what they're doing, and just have a conversation. Develop the following mother codes, courtesy of this particular concept paper and also the evaluation or research questions. These are some of the aspects that I intend to monitor or see inside the transcript regarding this and these questions. Are you in a position to relate the mother codes I've created to some of the aspects inside the transcripts? And if not, are you able to generate new ones for me, but should be with regard or addressing this particular aspect? I can have a 10-line, 15-line prompt that is just trying to seek something to around those transcripts. And I'm able to get a better, more nuanced response as compared to if I just said, please generate codes for this. So the way you ask, the way you prompt adds value to what the AI is going to give to you. Yes. So I think that's what I can say about that.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, especially to you, Eugene. I know this was quite an engaging session. For everybody, if you can see my screen, Eugene's contact information is there and pinned in the chat as well. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Again, you can reach out to Eugene. You can reach out to me, Bijou, and you can reach out to Sarah as well as part of the ARN team. Thank you. We appreciate you, and we hope to see you in the next session.